Welcome back to the Top Notch Documentaries YouTube channel. Danielle Imbo and Richard Petrone Jr. were both in their mid-30s when they unexpectedly went missing following a night out with two friends. Danielle and Richard were dating and chatted to another couple as they laughed and joked at Abilene's bar, located at 429 South Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The next day, and the couple hadn't returned to Danielle's apartment, their families became worried and reported them missing shortly thereafter, and following their disappearance back in 2005, the story of this missing couple began, and it's only grown since then, with speculation and mystery circulating across not only in Philadelphia, but the United States and the rest of the world. That evening back in February would mark the last time that anyone ever heard from or saw Danielle and Richard ever again. Even though the couple have not been heard from or seen for more than 17 years, the case hasn't died down, and many are confident that one day it will be solved. Today, I will be covering the mysterious story of probably the most well-known missing Philadelphia couple, and I'll be taking a look at some of the theories along the way. Hope you enjoy. It was around 11:45 PM and Danielle and Richard decided to call it a night as both had the responsibility of picking up their children from previous relationships the next day. They had arrived in Richard's pickup truck and waved their goodbyes to their friends, having last been seen walking down South Street in the direction of Richard's truck. Unfortunately, for family and friends of Danielle and Richard, the couple never arrived back to Danielle's New Jersey residence like they had been intending on doing. Sometime in the late evening to early morning hours, they'd seemingly vanished off the face of the earth. As of the time of this video, neither Danielle, Richard or Richard's truck have surfaced, and since that time more than 17 years ago, little verifiable information as to where this couple could have gone has been put out there. Theories, on the other hand, have been put out there, and each has created equally just as much speculation. Richard worked at Viking Pastries, a bakery owned by his family in Ardmore, a suburb of Philly. Richard lived above the bakery in an apartment and was described as a hard worker. Richard specialised in wedding cakes and was a perfectionist. He had a daughter from a previous relationship and was by all accounts a wonderful parent, helping his daughter bake cookies at the bakery when she was younger. Richard was from a tight-knit Italian family and was proud of his Italian heritage. Danielle came from a similar Italian household and was part of a band, singing popular cover songs in bars around New Jersey and Philadelphia. She had done this for a while before beginning work as a mortgage processor. Danielle would end up getting married prior to meeting Richard and had had a child of her own. She was a great mum, but unfortunately the marriage didn't work out, and within a short space of time, relationship turmoil arose, and eventually the daily arguments reached a boiling point. Danielle began chain smoking as a result, and her and her partner soon divorced. The divorce was difficult for Danielle, and the now ex-couple made the mutual decision to share custody of their son. Unsurprisingly, Danielle would often reach out to friends and family for emotional support at this time, and was working toward a better future for herself and young son. At the time of her disappearance, much like Richard, she had a steady job and place to live, so things were looking on the up. Danielle and Richard's families had both known each other for a long time. Their families shared common similarities, and Danielle and Richard would grow closer to one another around this time. They began dating before suddenly splitting for a short time, as Danielle wanted to focus on raising her son and ending the divorce situation. Funnily enough, the night that Danielle and Richard went missing was the first time that they'd met up since being separated for 5 weeks. Richard had been the one who invited Danielle out to watch a band at the bar and have some drinks alongside a couple who were friends of Richard. It was now Sunday and neither Danielle or Richard had shown. Danielle's family surmised that she was staying over at Richard's place and vice versa. However, upon investigating the residences, both were undisturbed and nobody was about. The families had already tried calling them both, and the calls just went straight to voicemail. Why weren't they picking up? As the hours passed, everyone began to fear the worst, as both Danielle and Richard not only had not showed up to pick up their children, but also had not showed up to other arrangements that Sunday. Danielle's brother and Richard's father both travelled to Philadelphia and informed the police as they searched for Richard's pickup truck. Unfortunately, the route used to travel to Philadelphia and the parking lot that Richard used are still both not clear to this very day. And that hasn't helped out this investigation, as nobody can say for sure if they even made it back to New Jersey or if they made it back to Richard's car. The FBI became involved in the case, and despite the busy South Street road, camera footage didn't show Richard or Danielle or bring any more clues to light. Richard's friend, who was meeting with him and Danielle, was questioned about his involvement, but was eventually cleared in the case. Another person who was initially a suspect was Danielle's ex-husband. Him and Richard had exchanged threatening words, but the tension had died down over time. He was looked into, but was ultimately cleared, as he had had a solid alibi. With two people close to Richard and Danielle now cleared, investigators working the case turned to another possibility. Philadelphia is known for being a city where crime is rife, and many criminal groups operate there. Early on, the FBI felt as though the couple may have been targets of an organised car theft ring, which had ultimately gone wrong, ending in murder. Richard's distinct truck would have been an ideal target for a theft ring, and the couple may have been murdered by a group of criminals whilst they attempted to carjack them. The FBI also mentioned a murder for hire plot later on, but why anyone would want to take out this couple is unclear, and what evidence supports this hasn't been shared with the public. Another theory adding to these organised criminal theories involves Richard. The FBI knew of Richard's Italian roots, and the stereotype of the Italian being involved in organised crime may have contributed to them delving into his past history for clues. Could he have owed some dangerous people money or have been involved in criminality? Richard and Danielle's families, who had been supportive of one another throughout this entire ordeal, fell out because of this theory. One side pointed the finger toward the other, and this in turn pushed the families apart, as they blamed each other for being the cause of the disappearances. The blame game and the FBI theory had ultimately ruined the chances of the families ever coming together again for a collaborative search. The FBI would eventually rule out the theory that Richard was a criminal. He wasn't involved in that lifestyle, but the damage to both families had already been cemented. Since 2005, there's been plenty of speculation that foul play was involved, but what if the couple vanished because of a freak accident? Rivers have been searched, as cars often veer off the road and sink to the bottom of rivers. Many people have gone missing and have been found many years later, still in their vehicles, submerged underwater. The most recent search was in March of 2022 with an organisation named Adventures with Purpose. The dive team from Oregon travels around the country and has been successful in solving missing persons cases through underwater searches. Unfortunately, no traces of Richard or Danielle were found during this search of a river in the Philadelphia area. This case is a strange one, and the fact that it involves a couple makes it even stranger. How can two people and a distinct truck just vanish into thin air? Just where are Danielle and Richard? I remain optimistic that one day this case can be solved and both Danielle and Richard's families can gain some answers. It is tough to say just what happened to them both and what became of their vehicle, but this case hasn't died down just yet, and one new tip could make all of the difference. This has been the case of Richard Petrone Jr. and Danielle Imbo. As always, thank you for watching.